YouTube. What's going on, guys? Raptor NLN here, bringing you another deck profile again. Figured I'd do an updated list since, we've had certain cards release, and yeah, I just feel like it's kind of been a long overdue update. I'm pretty sure my deck has changed from the previous video quite a bit. I've been play testing this a lot, and I plan on taking this to an actual locals tournament here pretty soon, so I can actually tell you for sure like how it does. I've done a lot of testing through EDO and dueling network and all kinds of stuff like that, and so far it performs really well. You can make a little bit slower version of this for Master Duel, and it works still pretty good. Obviously not as good as the real thing, because Master Duel doesn't have the new support yet. But anyways, without further ado, let's just get right into it. Hope you guys are all doing well out there today. And to start things off, we obviously have 2 copies of Blue Eyes White Dragon. Two is great. I kind of had suspicions about just playing 2 for a long time, and I've been doing that instead of 3, and it works out so much better. I don't think I'll ever go back to playing 3 Blue Eyes, just because you have so many ways to dig it out of your deck, search it, add it from your graveyard to your hand, all kinds of stuff. So you don't really need 3. 3 just gets kind of cloggy. So 2 is good there. Next, we play 1 Chaos Max. You could cut this. I just kind of like the the extra Blue Eyes card. It's searchable. But I also like it just for nostalgia, and it's kind of my favorite ritual monster as well. If you cut this out, you could make it several different things, kind of whatever you want. I would lean more towards like a light dragon type monster. Jet Dragon would probably be my recommendation, even though I'm playing 1 Blue Eyes Jet Dragon. I would probably just bump it to 2 if you wanted to cut the Chaos Max, but so far I'm enjoying it. Nice high attack power. And then this, it's so free. You can search it with Melody. You can search it with the next card, which is Blue Eyes Abyss Dragon. And it just does so much for you. All you have to do is have a Blue Eyes White Dragon on your field or in your graveyard, and you can special summon this card from your hand or graveyard, and then it just protects all your cards. And then when a monster does battle with it, you can return a card on the field to the hand. So not just that monster, you can pick a spell or trap or whatever you need to. Next, just 1 alternative. I don't find myself ever wishing I had 2 of this card. It's searchable when you need it, and it's just, to me, I don't want to see the possibility of hard drawing into a second copy. If you did, there again, you could cut the Chaos Max for a second copy of this as well. It'll kind of help make the deck run a little bit smoother, probably in some cases, but like I said, for the most part, I still like the Chaos Max in here. And then we do play 1 Dragon Spirit of the White. You could cut this as well, but I am liking it as kind of a back row removal tag out card, especially with the new support card that we got not too long ago, which is Dictator of D, and he is amazing. You could play this at 2 or 3. I wouldn't recommend any less than that. I've played around with 2 and I've played around with 3. I like the consistency of seeing 3 though, because you can open 2 of this card in your opening hand, and it just does not bother you at all. So there is that. For the next cards, we play 1 Stone of Legend and 2 Ancients. I go back and forth with this ratio all the time. You could play 2 and 2 of this if you wanted. I don't think the Stone of Ancients is really necessary at 3, just because you have plenty of ways to get it into the graveyard to use its effects, to where you don't need to see 2 to 3 of this card in your opening hand. So, plus I don't want to brick on too many stones. Next, we are playing 3 copies of Sage with Eyes of Blue. Sage, he does so much. You can see 2 of this card in your opening hand and not even care. He normal summons, you get to search a stone. You can send him from your hand and an effect monster that you control to the graveyard, special summon a Blue Eyes card, which is Jet Dragon, Abyss Dragon, Dragon Spirit of the White. Regular Blue Eyes, anything you really need. And then yeah, you can do all kinds of crazy stuff with that. My favorite combo, which is kind of getting away from the Blue Eyes stuff now, I do play the Invoked engine still, so double Alistair. So I like to normal summon this, and then if this gets ashed, Sage is kind of a backup strategy that you can just dump him to the grave and special summon a Blue Eyes out of your deck. And usually, I would say at least probably about 80% of the time, if not more, you have a way to set it up to where you special summon this at the end phase, get a double search, and you either have this already or you search it and just protect yourself with it. So there is that. Next, for the monsters, I am playing 2 copies of Galaxy Soldier. The reason for this is, one, you can make Cyber Dragon Infinity, which is probably my favorite overlay. But he is a light, which plays into Alistair making Makaba, which you know, I don't want to run Secure Gardna just to guarantee a Makaba. I have the extra deck so tight that it doesn't make sense. Plus, the majority of the deck is light, and that's kind of where I say, like, taking out the Chaos Max would probably help a little bit, especially if you are going to play the Galaxy Soldiers. But they also help unclog your hand with any of the stones, any of the bigger dragons. So that's really nice. Another combo I like to do with this is you can actually discard this off of like Melody of Awakening Dragon and then play Monster Reborn to bring this back and get the free search that way, and then probably dump, you know, whatever you don't need for the second one. So there is that. And then also he is just good link fodder, or you know, he is even a fusion target for Makaba or other such things. So he works. I wouldn't play any more or less. Obviously you don't want to play less, but I don't think 3 Galaxy Soldier is necessary at all. I think 2 is fine. Next, I'm playing 2 copies of Inspector Border. You could cut this, but I really like what this does. You know, if you go first and you just play this, your opponent just sometimes has a real struggle to starting the game. And then realistically, even if he's dead in hand, he can be used as a Makaba target. He can be used for Galaxy Soldier. You know, he can just be used in a couple different ways. Plus, he is a 2000, you know, attack and defense stat, which even if you control a monster, you can just set it face down, and he can be kind of a wall if you absolutely need to. But yeah, ultimately, like I said, you could cut this out for anything you want, but I just like the way that is working so far. So next, we will get into the spells and traps here. I am playing 1 Terraforming, just 1, obviously, because it's limited. And then I am playing 1 Meltdown. I was playing 2 for the longest time, but I am liking this better at 1, just because I won't brick on it. And that's been working out really well. And then 1 Dragon Ravine, and that is it for the field spells. I'm really liking this ratio. This pretty much helps set up your Blue Eyes combos, and then obviously this gets you to your Invoke stuff if you don't see it. So that is where we're at with that. And then next, I do play 2 copies of Dragon Shrine. I would play 3, but I find that 2 just works. Dragon Ravine is kind of like your second copy of Dragon Shrine, even though I think Dragon Shrine's a little bit better. Basically, it is a 1-card combo to where even if you go first, you ditch the Blue Eyes White Dragon, you ditch the stone, and then you just end your turn, and you get to play Abyss Dragon, and then you get to search either Polymerization or Chaos form, and then any level 8 dragon you want. So I typically tend to search Jet Dragon if I don't already have it. But if I do, then you know you can set up for the Chaos Max, play the next turn, or if you need the alternative or whatever you need. So that's kind of why I like Dragon Shrine a lot, especially nowadays with the new support. So I think 2 is kind of the perfect number, though. I don't want to see 2 in the opening hand, but if I do, like, it's not a problem usually. So 2 trade-in. I don't feel like in this deck it does so much searching that you don't really need to draw all the time. you don't have to focus on burning through your deck to get to certain cards anymore, just because everything is searchable. So I don't play Desires because I don't want to banish, you know, a third of my deck or whatever it is to draw 2. If you can actually switch this for Extravagance, and it kind of works, just because you don't necessarily rely on your extra deck anymore. Like sometimes the Blue Eyes engine is just enough to where you just play like Jet Dragon and Dictator of D, and you know that's kind of enough, and you just build your board up from there without an extra deck. But I like Trade-In still, just because I like the access of everything that, having access to everything in the extra deck versus potentially burning through something just to draw an extra card, basically. So next, 3 Melody of the Awakening Dragon. And this, in Blue Eyes in general, I don't see why you wouldn't play 3 of this card unless you're playing like strictly like 3 Blue Eyes and 1 alternative or something like that. But yeah, this card's really good. Pretty much searches everything you need. Kind of enough said there. 1 Chaos form, obviously for the Chaos Max. 1 Polymerization. This card I'll go into a little bit later, but yeah, it makes everything. It makes all the fusions. You can even, if your Alistair gets hand trapped, you can use Polymerization as like a backup fusion spell to fuse for the Macabre. So even hard drawing into it sometimes isn't really that big a deal. Next, I'm playing 2 copies of Invocation. This kind of does it for the I guess combo pieces. You're really only playing 4, so it doesn't really get too cloggy. And even if you open with any of these, it's not usually too big a deal. Also, a fun little fact is that this is a card that mentions Blue Eyes White Dragon, so you can discard it for Dictator D. So it's kind of a nice little consistency thing there. Next, I'm playing 1 Foolish Burial. You can pretty much use this to get a light into the grave for Macabre, or send the Galaxy Soldier to combo with Monster Reborn to get the combo off, or just kind of whatever you need at the time. So there's a lot of different things you can kind of do with Foolish Burial. So I kind of just have it as like a one of in there, aside from just playing 3 of those, just because it's a little bit better consistency wise. And then for the 2 traps I am playing 1 Impermanence, just because it's one of those cards to where if you see it, it is a monster negate pretty much for free, or you can use it to discard for Macabre to negate a trap. And then it's also a hand trap, so it's kind of the most universal monster negate that I can think of. Probably my favorite trap card in the game, honestly, at this point. And then 1 Evenly Matched, just because I want a way to break boards. You could make this Raigeki, you could make it Harpy's Feather Duster. I've played around with all those. You can make it Lightning Storm, whatever you prefer, but I like Evenly Matched only because if you're going second or forced to go second and you do happen to see this card, you're potentially going to break the board or at least make an impact no matter what they set up, whether it be a bunch of monsters, a bunch of spells and traps. You're going to kind of level the field back out and then make your plays. So that is it for the main deck, 40 card main deck. Next I will go into the extra deck here. We start off with Almirage. Pretty simple. You link this away for one of the stones or the Alistair, and pretty much you can just tribute him to make a card and not be destroyed by card effects or a monster. So he's really good. You can make this Relinquished Anima. You can make it Link Karibo. All of them work. I just think that he's kind of the most generic for what you're going to be doing, for what you're going to be linking away. Next, we do play the 1 Alistair, the Invoker of Madness. There again, this card can be a couple different things too. I've played around with Cross Sheep, and Cross Sheep works pretty nice too. You could also play, I forget the name of it, but there's like this Link 2 that has like 2 arrows diagonal here that you basically switch control of monsters. And so what you can do is you can give your opponent the Galaxy Soldier, summon the Chaos Max, and attack for game that way. It's kind of cheesy, and through testing, it didn't really come up as much as I thought it would, but there again, you can kind of play around with that. It's kind of something I thought about for a little bit there. And then one Underworld Goddess, just because she's basically a kaiju in your extra deck. So, you know, why not play her? And she's actually obviously a lot better because you can, you know, you can negate the field, which is basically a walking skill drain, and she negates special, like a special summon from the graveyard. So, really good there for these. That is it for the Link monsters. You can also play Blackluster Soldier in her place. You can play Access Code, although I don't really do a lot of Link summoning in this deck, so that's why Access Code is not in here. Or Boral Sword. You can do Boral Sword as well, but I feel like this deck doesn't really have a problem OTKing, so that's why I pick Underworld Goddess. Anyway, for the XYZs, we are playing one Baguska, and I will actually get into that in a little bit here, but I will explain. But he actually comes up more often than not, and he's kind of like a backup play. And then the Cyber Dragon package for Galaxy Soldier. And then next we play one Dingirsu, just because he's kind of the free rank 8 to make. I don't find myself really going into ranks anymore. You could play the Numeron or Draglubian package. I mean, you could play Hope Harbinger, but I've actually just cut them all together. I play one Zeus, and that'll actually round it off for the overlays. Zeus is kind of great because when you can use Baguska as your backup strategy, and then when it comes back to your turn, attack with him and make Zeus. That's kind of my number one go-to, I would say, or you can make him on top of Dingirsu, either way. Next, I do play one Spirit and one Azorize. This is really nice to recover, you know, if you need to. It's kind of more of like a mid to late game card, but you know, sometimes it works. It also helps you with making fusions and stuff like that. If you need to pull back a Blue Eyes, just it kind of helps for that. And then obviously Spirit, tag out, negate, all that sort of stuff. And then for the fusions, we are playing one Guardian Chimera, which pretty much makes every monster in this deck live with polymerization because it just says 3 monsters with different names. So you can use cards like, you know, Inspector Border and stuff like that if it's not really useful at the time to kind of help. So yeah, and then obviously he can pop 2, draw 1, or draw 2, pop 1, depending on which materials you use from where. So, and then next I play 2 Makaba. 2 is fine. I don't find myself needing a third one, and I actually don't play any other invoked monsters. I feel like the invoked engine is simply in here just for Makaba. So if you wanted to bump it up, I would say you can play Purgatrio or the other light monster that you can like pop a card and gain attack with. But other than that, Makaba is just usually the main go-to, and I don't find myself running into games that last long enough to burn through more than 2 of this and still need an invoked card anyway. So, and then I do play the one Blue Eyes Tyrant Dragon. This can recycle your traps, impermanence, evenly matched, all that stuff. And then it's just unaffected by trap cards and can attack all of your opponent's monsters once each. So it's kind of just a board wipe, and it kind of takes place of Purgatrio. And it also unbricks your hand because you can use Blue Eyes Invocation and any other dragon in your hand if you brick to make this card. So this card is really, really good in that aspect as well. And then I do play the one Blue Eyes Alternative Ultimate Dragon. It's super easy to make in this deck. You know, I usually find myself going back and forth on if I'm going to make this or Chaos Max when I go to search for the Abyss Dragon. But anyways, that is it for the deck. I do have a side deck, but it's kind of really more or less untested, so I don't think I'm going to showcase that today. But I will show you, so the idea behind Baguska here is when you're going through, you know, you can normal summon your Alistair, And if this gets hand trapped, then you special summon the Dictator of D. And if you're not really looking so good at that point, now you can overlay, and it's a backup strat to, so now you can kind of regroup your hand and, kind of sit here with something at least. And then hopefully, on the next turn, you just flip it to attack, and then you can go ahead and just plop a Zeus down right on top. So that's kind of the idea behind that. If you did want to cut it, that is also fine as well, because it doesn't come up a whole lot, but I have noticed it to come up a couple times, so I do kind of like it. So anyways, let me know what you guys thought. Like I said, I will be taking this to a tournament here relatively soon, hopefully, and I'll be able to kind of express more on like what I think needs to be improved a little bit more. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed, and hopefully you guys can leave me some feedback on what you think, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.